There was a question about interface when two prices are available, the buyer's offer and the seller's offer. As far as I understand, the question is that if a seller has changed or made a new firm offer, the buyer's offer becomes outdated. Am I right? So there's a concept when there are two sides and the ball is thrown to one of them, like a price. A very interesting question. I suggest that Denis Dmitriev answer this question. Yes, Sergey, we've discussed this decision lots of times, and I'd like to say that you're totally right. The ball is passed either to one or to the other side. However, this interface functionality has been implemented for the following reason. There are companies which usually buy large volumes on CPT, let's say large transnational companies. They have a certain stable price, and they don't change it. For example, $100 to $180 per ton of wheat. And the program can't throw the ball all the time, like in this particular case, from one company to another. So, their price is permanent, $180. And if they wish to raise the price, they will do it. If they don't want to raise, they'll leave it as it is. The same way it's made for large, medium, persistent producers and persistent sellers. So, if I stick to my price, I should not give a technical opportunity for the other party to catch the ball. Figuratively speaking, tackle the ball out of my hands. Did I answer your question? Let's continue. Gorbachev Nikolai. Thanks so much. A good presentation, a good product. I'd like to make some adjustments to the trade. You've probably talked to everyone, but the trade confirmation by the buyer, it's called a bid, not offer. It would be much clearer if you made an offer as well as a bid there. Even in the chat, it's a bit confusing. I offer this, I offer that. Are you selling or buying? Are you offering or confirming? So this should have a certain terminology, where the preposition is an offer and confirmation is a bid. This would be clear to everyone. This would simplify the situation. I'm ready to debate about it. Could you please pass the microphone to the smiling person wearing glasses? And I'd like to hear not just his opinion about it, but the whole quote that Ivan has said to us long ago about how the lawyers see this question. Could you please, Ivan?
Отлично, вот и заработал. Класс. Все Invoice потом пришли, да. На самом деле...
Actually, right now, I feel like a speaker on a course of GAFTA or FOSFA. I agree with lots of things regarding this question. The different trades use different terms to describe the prepositions, like an offer, bid, or accept. So in terms of classical English law and the rules of GAFTA, it actually doesn't matter whether it's a bid or an offer. I mean, it doesn't matter how you name it. But, Dennis, if you'd let me, I'd prefer to pay attention to this. So, I'd like to pay attention to this. If a global request occurs, I think that specific terminology, like a bid, would be better perceived by the market. So it probably could be added. Of course, Ivan. However, I'll never forget who forbid me to say a bid and an offer and said, this is just an offer. Okay, next please. Good evening. My name is Volodymyr. I'm a representative of Harv East Holding. I have a question. If I want to change the terms of the contract, is it possible? For example, I want to sell on FOB and point out in the contract that I need only a Ukrainian vessel with a Ukrainian flag, and at least 30 years old, as I'm aware that Ukraine doesn't have such shipping. I wish to use my options like this. May I? I got you. Thanks for the question. First of all, let me rephrase your question another way, and you'll tell me if I understood it correctly. You asked if you can edit the contracts provided by the system. Do I understand you right? At this stage, no. We use standard contracts provided by AGA Partners Company, but in the nearest future, we'll have a new opportunity to upload contracts of your companies. We'll implement a separate interface allowing to easily upload contracts. For example, upload a draft in a doc format and mark the needed fields. You'll be able to conclude contracts under the terms which definitely satisfy your needs. At the moment, you can use a little hack and go to Additional Parameters. Fill in the field called Additional Comments to the offer. After this, within the discussion in chat, you'll make sure and get the written consent from them, and they will be added to the standard contract form, which is already present on the platform. Did I answer your question? Thanks. I have another question. During the presentation, you mentioned that you've applied for patents. So, what is patented and can't be used? Great question. We've applied for two patent types. One of them is a utility model. That is a Ukrainian term. Anyway, for example, in America, you can apply for such a patent. In other countries where patent legislation operates under the Hague Agreement, it's called by a different name. The point is that the utility model protects the so-called flow, the logic of actions. There's a system of messaging. It has such types of messages and so on. Concerning patents, we've applied for an industrial design patent as well. The elements of interface disposal refer to the industrial design. Yes, we've applied for a usability patent. Thanks, Dima. May I ask one more question? You pointed out that eventually there will be a charge for using the platform. How are you going to charge? Are you going to charge after the commodities are shipped or after the contract is signed? Do you take responsibility for contracts, whether they are executed, and do you charge for that? Thanks. Thanks for your question, Nikolai. Let's divide it into two parts, a simple one and a little more complicated one. I've mentioned that the subscriber's fee for the platform usage will be charged monthly. In this case, we'll be using charging mechanisms like credit cards, or some kind of global invoices for a company subscription. It will be very easy in that regard. By the way, in Ukraine, it will be possible to pay via Privat 24 $25. Talking about the commission, which will be charged in terms of a successful contract, a question arises. What is the appropriate time to send an invoice to the buyer? It's a very interesting question. At the moment, we tend to an indirect way of control over the fulfillment of the contract obligations. An indirect because we'll never have a direct one. And most likely, we'll be sending invoices at that time. I may be wrong because the global monetization of the platform and the moment when it becomes paid are very important points, where the pros and cons should not be underestimated. That's why I can't give you an unambiguous answer. However, I can tell you for sure that the result will take into account all the complexities of the process and will be the best decision. One more question. My name is Vladimir Ozirsky, Uka Olia Company. Thanks for the invitation, for such a presentation, and for the product. I have some questions, 2 questions. First, you've pointed out your top priority tasks. I didn't see one about the expansion of the commodities range. And are you going to pay attention to niche markets, niche crops? If so, then there's a question. How are you going to advertise the product worldwide? Because I wonder how the final customers in Europe, Australia, and America will find out about Tradomatic. I got you. Let me try to answer point by point. I see there are 3 main points in your question. Concerning the expansion of the commodity range, taking into account that Tradomatic has been designed as a system which will be growing, developing, and scaling, we've planned that our instruments would let us easily add any commodities within Ukraine, as well as globally. Well, right now, I can't tell you for sure when it happens, but we'll definitely expand the range. Maybe till the end of the year. But I'll make a brief remark. I think that we'll also have a question concerning the parodies, which we would like to support in the future. And you've asked the question about the commodities. I'd like to point out that right now, Tradomatic does not accidentally support 2 parodies and this exact list of commodities. Tradomatic is a result of deep understanding of how to work with these exact commodities on these parodies. At the moment, there's not enough expertise to cover the range of commodities which you probably would like to have, or parodies such as CIF and CFR, for example. We'll implement it exactly at that time, when we are certain that we can ensure comfortable trading for the additional commodities you were referring to. And talking about parodies, when we'll be able to guarantee people, our users, the safe operation, taking into account the fact that the buyers are located far away overseas. Okay, the next question you've asked was concerning the way we see our marketing. Let me rephrase your question a little and reply in terms of what we do now. Our marketing department has about 3 main strategies of selling our product to producers, and these strategies have shown a great performance. I won't waste your time showing what exactly we did that helped us gain this reputation. We can discuss it a bit later. But we have a clear vision that we found the key to the domestic producer. Now, this is only a matter of execution. As for the world globally, I'm sure we'll find an answer. Because even if you don't know the correct response to a certain question and where the key lies, but you use the correct methods to solve the issue, the key will definitely be found. That's why we don't have any concerns. Thanks for your question. Another question, please. Sergey Nevsky, Olir Resources. A question which is a bit of a follow-up. The question is, where is your social base? I mean, who are your customers? So, for example, if we're talking about big volumes, like 1,000 tons, what will we see in the system? There will be up to 1,000 customers working with Tradomatic in Ukraine. So, what is the minimum limit of entry? About 200 to 300 ton? Just roughly, if there is 1,000 customers with 1,000 tons, it makes 1 million, right? So it's comparative. Well, everybody makes about 30 deals, and you'll basically cover half of Ukraine. That's why I've asked a question about the social base. As a minimum, who do you see at the bottom of this food pyramid? I suggest Denis Dmitriev reply to this question. Sergey, I would not name all Tradomatic platform customers. I would not rank who's on top, who's on the bottom. I'd like to say that at the moment we're focused on producers starting from 3,000 hectares. The ones who know how to export, the ones who are open. We understand that these are the people who are open to changes. Because we've calculated about 10,000 producers. We'll definitely cover all of them within the next few years. But in the near term, as Dennis has mentioned, by the new year, we'll have focused our effort on creating a product of a great value for our producers. Talking about customers with MBA terms, we have two customer ranges. First, our producers. We are making the most convenient product for them. Moreover, we didn't talk about it, but in the future we'll have two user interfaces, one for traders and one for producers, to make it more convenient. But the logic will be the same. And the second customer's range is, of course, buyers, traders, large transnational companies, local traders, and others. We'll have other demands, requests, and volumes, but they are our customers, and we'll fulfill their needs as well. Any questions? Okay, dear friends, if you have any other questions, I'll be happy to reply. We have another question from a trader. Lilia, please. Шолест Alpina, Ukraine. Zavgorodnyaya Lily. I saw that you have white and black lists. Could you please tell me how they are created? You can create them by yourself.
Черные списки, да, вносить в черные списки.
Ну, конечно, это же...
Не-не-не. Недобросовестная конкуренция.
Я понял. Давайте я уточню.
Let me explain. The black and white list are meant only for one user. That is, this person on the black list exists only for you. He will not see your offers on the market. He will not be able to book them instantly. Your question is whether we thought about the global plans. You mean global blacklists. It's a scrupulous moment. For now, we're not planning to become an arbitrator and decide who's good and who's bad. That's why, at the moment, we're not thinking about such rating features. Because potentially, despite all the positive intents which underline these ideas, the result may be really pathetic for the whole ecosystem. And as you mentioned, a dishonest competition may appear, certain activity which may besmear someone. To sum up, the platform is not going to have global blacklists. As for your personal black or white lists, this is up to you. Thanks for the question. Dmitry Gritsky says, we're not going to repeat Zuckerberg's mistake and ban you for stating, "Glory to Ukraine." We don't have a right for it, because the platform is professional. People using our platform are primarily professionals, so it's unlikely that they will express their own preferences and discuss football in a professional chat. Vitaly Zlatov, Alibor Group. I have a question about the chat operation. Exactly how does it work? Do I understand it right, that several people can simultaneously be in the chat and discuss, for example, my offer? It's a great question. We've demonstrated an exclusively personal chat between two sides. And in the nearest future, nobody will be aware of what happens in the chat due to the global technical changes we're going to implement. But I think that your question may be rephrased to make it more interesting for the audience. Will there be any auction-type chats? This is what I meant. So, if somebody replied to my offer, is my offer still visible on the trading platform? And if somebody has accepted my offer and decided to make a contract, does this person that I'm talking to at the moment automatically see that my offer has been accepted? First of all, no, he doesn't see it since it's a personal chat. Secondly, I just recalled smart notifications. There will be smart notifications and reminders showing you how to act in a situation you've described. I have a sell offer, and I'm talking to two people. First of all, I think it will be impolite to make a firm offer concerning one position. But again, the platform doesn't limit you. It just helps you not to make errors. So, if you've put up 2,000 tons for sale, but in fact you have 4,000 tons, this is you who is responsible for what you discuss and with whom, how you offer and bid. Accordingly, if the position is successfully closed, even with some changes, you will receive a small reminder whether you want to remove it from the market or not. Alternatively, when creating a position, you can put a tick which will instantly remove this particular offer at any outcome of any discussion. Any other questions, please? My name is Igor Basilevich, Optimus Company, and I'd like to specify. There was a great question, so I put my offer right. It doesn't matter what's the price, and then I can discuss and bargain in chat, right? Then a person comes and says, okay, 5 minutes with a reduced price. However, I was booked. Or they can't book me without a discussion. So my offer is pending, and if it's suitable for somebody who immediately says, I accept, or I have to confirm that I accept his bid anyway. Or is it just after the discussion? That's right. Yes. Let me describe this moment in more detail. Dennis and I demonstrated the case when you have something to discuss and change, and the price on the whole is not acceptable. In the future, as I mentioned before, there will be an opportunity to book offers instantly. In this case, you offer a contract and the user, the other party, will see how much time you've indicated for the contract confirmation. Unless we implement this mechanism, let's say, protection mechanism, lots of unpleasant situations may happen, unfortunately. You'll be booked, and absolutely reasonably say that I will not do this because I don't know who you are, and so on and so forth. Accordingly, we have a simple mechanism that when the discussion begins, both parties can book each other right in the chat. I mean that if the other buyer has appeared, and I'm having the discussion with one company, and this buyer is totally satisfied with the price, he didn't start to bargain, but I've already given a firm offer to the first one. In the next window, you'll see a contract offer from the third person. If you ignore it, it will stop being relevant by itself. He won't be able to book you and put you in an awkward spot. Did I answer your question? Thank you. Any other questions, friends? Good afternoon, Borislav Nitak. As far as I understand, the last 5 questions were about an exchange. Is the system going to be transformed into an exchange? Or is it going to be a trading and informational system, which doesn't have a status? And I think that lots of people in the future, and even now, will be interested in making contracts from the auction. Because the price confirmed on the market has certain competitive advantages on the exchange. That's the first point. And secondly, are the histories of the fulfilled and accepted contracts going to be saved? I mean, as in graphic information. Is it going to be visible on the market, or it's the extremely private information of the two parties? As far as I understand, we have two questions in one. Is the platform going to be transformed into an exchange? I'll ask Denis Dmitriev, an expert from Kharkiv, to reply. As Denis said, there were two questions. Will the platform be transformed into an exchange? No, it won't. It's not an exchange. It's a professional tool, an innovative solution. Nowadays, exchanges have already existed for 500 years. Such instruments, such solutions could have appeared only due to the existence of new technologies. The blockchain technologies and other systems. Sure, they have something in common, but we're talking about physical trading here. Maybe at some point in the future it will grow into some kind of an exchange, but for now, we don't see it in the nearest term perspective. The question you've put is a really good one, and we didn't highlight it properly. It's statistics. Actually, the platform is going to generate a fairly large amount of different information, and together with our advisors, we have a huge dilemma. On the one hand, we wanted to give the information and maximum transparency to the market, so that all of the market players, all of the platform users immediately knew about any deal made on the platform. On the other hand, we wanted to save some kind of privacy and security of the details. Nowadays, it's almost impossible to combine those two instruments, and for the near-term prospects, for a few years, we've decided to develop the platform so that all the users will have a chance to make private deals. If you'd like to share the price or volume, show the market what you've done and proud of it, if you've made a really great deal and just want to raise the market, you'll have a certain feature for it. You click the button and the market will find out about it. If you'd like to hide that you've sold 20 tons of feed wheat at a really good price, you'll have such an opportunity. And we won't have an option to add this info to the statistics. And according to the platform, won't be able to generate a high-quality statistic that should be there. Thanks a lot.
Вот еще один вопрос появился, Дима.
Еще вопрос, да? Еще последние три вопроса, пожалуйста, да? А потом в приватном
There's one more question.
будет возможность.
A counter question straight away. If we're going to have an opportunity to present information about our deals, how will it be protected from fictitious deals? So you can conclude contracts with your companions on purpose to raise the market and share your wonderful deal. Great question. Denis Dmitriev will reply. Sure, we've thought about it. Thanks for your question. First, we have a system, a monitoring system. Secondly, we forbid to conclude deals within one company or holding. And thirdly, we have a high-quality compliance, so we'll find out if your deal is fictitious. Thanks. By the way, we have some other interesting moments to share with you, and we'll talk about them once the dinner begins. And also, we have a few secrets to share with you as well. Any other questions? By the way, you'll have unlimited time for communication and questions after the official part of the event.
Давайте вопрос пока.
Насчет комплайнса, на рахунок українського законодавства.
As for compliance in Ukrainian laws, there's a new law which states that if I have a deal, I should confirm that the deal is not worth more than 50% of my company's value. And you have to add the financial accounting for the last quarter. This law has been adopted on the 16th of June, I guess. How are you going to control this compliance? How are you going to check? Because today I sell only in Ukraine. Today I'm a limited liability company selling to other limited liability companies. I ask them for documents, they ask me. We check each other and sign the papers. How are you going to do it? Are you going to ask each time before the deal?
Кто ответит?
I'd like to ask Ivan Kasinyuk to reply to this question, please.
Работаю сейчас.
Да.
И вопрос касается...
The question relates to Ukrainian contracts, which are concluded between two Ukrainian residents. Maybe Dennis will correct me, but when we're talking about English law, that the contract would obey GAFTA and FOSFA rules, we're talking only about the export contracts. In other words, the ones with a foreign element. So if you're making a contract with a non-resident, you have an obligation to obey the foreign law, English law in particular, obeying GAFTA rules. And the platform has an answer for this, in case Dennis won't disagree with me. As for concluding contracts between residents, please correct me if I'm wrong. As far as I understand, the platform won't be dealing with these issues. Because two Ukrainian residents don't have an obligation to obey the foreign law when concluding a contract. Yes, thanks for the question. Thanks for the answer. As I've mentioned, contracts between residents will be supported in the nearest future. We didn't do it before, as we always try to get to know all the peculiarities beforehand. This is why we'll have an answer a little bit later. Okay, friends, the last question. Good afternoon, Volodymyr Korchin, Spectrade. Wonderful presentation. Thanks so much for your invitation. My question is, who pays the commission? A buyer, a seller, or per side? I've already mentioned that at the moment we think that the commission will be paid by the buyer, regardless of the parity. And despite the fact that for now it looks like a final decision, commission per side also has visible advantages and maybe some disadvantages, and causes some concerns. So at the moment, I'm speaking only about set examples of our stream of thought, logic which is behind the price information, behind the understanding which will help us come to a proper result. I'd better look at the numbers. For example, at the moment, it's a buyer. Again, I'm sure that in the future, we, as well as our advisors, will come to a decision which will not only be evaluated by you, but will be correct for the market and the industry. Thanks.